Long.
I don't care if it's easier. It's not. Okay.
Plus, no one's shooting at us.
Get it!
The Last of Us Season 2 premieres Future Days, the opening episode. The final members of the Fireflies, including Dr. Jerry Anderson, is mourned by Abby Anderson, portrayed by Kathleen Dever, Mel, portrayed by Ariella Barra, Owen, portrayed by Spencer Lord, Manny, played by Danny Ramirez, and Nora, played by Tati Gabriel. Abby wants to use her staff to help her find Joel fast. 5 years later, the story cuts to Ellie engaged in a vicious altercation with a guy who is almost twice her size. At first, it seems like Ellie is battling a villain to stay alive, but it turns out that she was only practicing. Now that they have arrived in Jackson, Wyoming, they are attempting to establish a little community for their people. Ellie is assisting Joel's brother Tommy, Gabriella Luna, in eliminating one of the clickers and other infected individuals. After completing that procedure, Tommy informs Ellie that due to her risky behavior on her most recent run, he is removing her from the patrol and placing her at the gate barrier. Joel also really worries about her and wants to protect her. Ellie refuses to back down and declares her intention to leave. At last, Tommy concedes and informs her of her team's departure time for surveillance. When Joel first meets Gail, Catherine O'Hara, she asks him what he would like to drink. Joel informs her that Ellie doesn't even speak to him and treats him like a complete stranger. Gail shows him the truth and claims that Ellie is acting with her father in the same way as any other 19-year-old would. Ellie, Dina, and 3 other colony residents are on a patrol in the interim. Joel's favorite movie, Curtis and Viper, is what Dina and Jesse think Ellie looks like. Dina and Ellie discuss attending a community event where individuals may have fun while on patrol. Ellie learns that Dina and Jesse had split up once more at this point. They follow a trail of blood while on patrol and come to a shop where the infected have slaughtered a grizzly bear. As Dina and Ellie are about to evacuate the building after killing 2 clickers, a section of the structure falls, sending Ellie to the basement. Dina informs her that she will locate the stairs so she may reach her. Ellie discovers a stalker in the basement a short while later, and he is pursuing her. In a sense, it appears that these runners are changing, growing smarter and more situational. Despite slaying the infected, Ellie had to conceal the bite mark from Dina because it beat her. Upon their return, they are seated in front of Tommy and Maria as well as the Jackson Council members. They informed everyone of this runner's unusual behavior. Since she witnessed something as well, Dina claims that Ellie is speaking the truth. They put the issue out of their minds for the time being and take pleasure in Dina and Ellie dancing at the New Year's celebration. When one of the inhabitants informs Dina and Ellie that the celebration is a family gathering, they share a kiss. When Joel got there, he shoved the individual to the ground, but Ellie lashes out at him, telling him that she doesn't need his assistance. 2 terrifying disclosures occur at the conclusion of the episode. Abby and the other Firefly members are approaching Joel's settlement, and cordyceps is spreading in the city's sewer pipes. As alarms go off, Abby, Kathleen Dever, is seen in the opening scene of Through the Valley walking down a dim hallway of the Salt Lake City Hospital, armed and terrified. She awakens with her crew in a ski lodge outside of Jackson, where it is stated that they have decided to harm Joel alone in their quest for vengeance. Following the New Year's Eve celebration, Jesse, young Mazzino, knocks on Ellie's garage bedroom, waking her up for their patrol. Ellie responds that she will conduct her patrol with Joel, Pedro Pascal. When Jesse reprimands her, Ellie acknowledges the complexity of her relationship with Joel. In the eatery, Jackson residents are being told by Tommy, Gabriel Luna to hope for the best but be ready for the worst. Abby remains on watch by herself, but as she prepares to return home weary of the cold, she notices two individuals on horses in the distance. Abby has started to descend the mountain behind the two patrol members, but as she goes higher, the snow underneath her cracks, causing a little avalanche. When Abby reaches the bottom, she finds that there are frozen, infected barriers in the snow all around her. However, the earth underneath them begins to change as a great number of infected claw their way to the surface and begin pursuing Abby. An infected jumps on top of her as she barely makes it out, but Joel saves her by shooting it in the head. Dina shouts out to Joel as Joel and Abby escape to a chamber where she is waiting, and Abby discovers that the guy who just saved her life is also the one she has been wishing to murder for the last 5 years. Joel and Dina attempt to examine their next course of action in order to get away from the infected, but Jackson is too far away. Abby takes advantage of the situation and tells her pals that they may go to the adjacent lodge where they are holed up. Hundreds of infected people ride to Jackson as Joel, Dina, and Abby escape. The village gets ready to battle for its existence as the guards at the gate see the enormous horde of infected approaching. All it takes is one enormous bloater to break through the fence, even though the residents of Jackson fought hard against their assailants since they were obviously prepared for this scenario. Tommy defends himself in the main street well armored with a flamethrower. Maria fires at the bloater from the rooftops as he begins to move in her direction. Tommy moves toward the bloater, diverting his attention. As a result, the bloater follows him and expends all of the remaining fuel in the flamethrower. At the final moment, the afflicted bloater sleeps and dies. After Abby takes Joel and Dina to the resort, Joel and the group are left alone after Abby gives Dina an injection that will render her unconscious for an hour. Before she shoots Joel in the leg, Joel claims to have just saved her life. Joel is informed by Abby that he shot a defenseless doctor in the head and murdered 18 troops, and Abby's dad was that doctor. In the meantime, Abby is severely assaulting Joel, and Ellie discovers horse footprints that lead to the resort. There is a thudding and shrieking sound as Ellie walks into the resort. She enters the room to discover Abby fatally beating Joel. Joel can't hardly move his finger toward her, so Ellie calls out for him. Joel is killed when Abby stabs him in the neck with the golf club, which is shattered from the beating. Jackson is lying in ruins as the episode comes to a close and Abby and her team return to Seattle. As a sobering reminder of the profound traumas that have molded this family since the beginning of the epidemic, viewers are first seeing Tommy sitting next to Joel's body in the opening sequence of The Path to bid him farewell. Although Joel and his daughter could be reunited, Ellie now has to adjust to life without him. Ellie's horrific last moments are shown to us when she wakes up at the Jackson hospital with a terrible case of PTSD. After 3 months, the town has undergone a physical and emotional reconstruction. Ellie has a final medical examination and declares her physical discomfort to be 0, and she is compelled to see Jackson's town therapist, Gail. After being released from the hospital, Ellie goes back to the home she and Joel used to share. Dina shows up shortly after and divulges facts that she had been keeping hidden until Ellie was well enough. She divulges important information on the attack, including the identities of Joel's murderers, their connection to the Washington Liberation Front (WLF), and the fact that they are headquartered in Seattle. As realistic as ever, Tommy acknowledges Ellie and Dana's suffering but cautions them against pursuing justice through vigilante action. Halfway, viewers are introduced to a new group when the episode moves to Washington State's forest. Wearing plain clothes with odd markings, a group of survivors makes their way through the forest. Every member, including a little girl whose recent initiation is suggested by her fresh wounds, has the same scars running up their cheeks. An eerie glimpse into the group's beliefs is provided by the man. They mostly use coded whistles to communicate and revere an enigmatic person known as the Prophet who has been dead for 10 years. The town council in Jackson convenes to discuss Ellie and Dana's plan to deploy 16 of their finest warriors to Seattle in order to exact revenge for Joel's passing. Ellie loses formal support as the Jackson Council votes 8-3 against the expedition despite heated debates on both sides. Dina steps in as Ellie is ready to leave Jackson alone at home. A makeshift cemetery honoring the community's deceased, including Joel's grave, is illuminated by the rising sun as Ellie and Dina leave Jackson. The atmosphere drastically changes when they eventually arrive at the freeway that leads to Seattle. As far as the eye can see, there are overgrown vines and abandoned automobiles, serving as a somber visual reminder of the outbreak's last destruction and nature's gradual recovery of the planet. The tension rises in the episode 3's closing seconds as a somber reminder of the escalating danger outside of Jackson. Dina and Ellie find a dead man and the same little child and her father, whom viewers have previously seen wearing odd markings on their clothing and scars on their cheeks. The streets of Seattle are inundated with dozens of highly armed WLF soldiers and a tank. Episode 4 commences with flashback scenes that introduces viewers to Jeffrey Wright's character, Isaac Dixon. Isaac, one of the controlling police officers for Fedra, and his team were monitoring the Seattle quarantine zone when one of them started telling a story about the voters. We also see Ellie and Dina continuing their journey in Seattle in an effort to find Abby and her companions. Nevertheless, they soon realized that WLF could be bigger than they first believed. Isaac is seen cooking in the present while explaining how he has always wanted a fancy saucepan and cookware. It grows dark. When Ellie and Dina first arrive to the WLF facility, they find a slaughter site with several corpses strewn about. Dina immediately throws up. In a different scene, WLF fighters rush in, and Ellie and Dina quickly cover. Ellie is discovered, and it is revealed that the soldiers wish to eliminate every Seraphite they encounter. Ellie fights back. She kills him before Dina can shoot another soldier by jumping on him and strangling him. Dina and Ellie ultimately run out into the pouring rain outside after being entangled in an old transit tunnel. When Ellie tells Dina that she is immune and cannot get infected, Dina doesn't trust her and she carries a gun with her all night. Dina acknowledges and returns the favor when Ellie tells her about the bite. When she wakes up later with no cordyceps as normal, reveals her pregnancy to Ellie while crying. Dina then releases the light she was holding and gives her a kiss. After they embrace, Ellie informs Dina the next morning that she doesn't have to accompany her into dangerous circumstances. They decide to cooperate on these, nevertheless, as Dina extends her hand. Sergeant Eli Spark, who spearheaded an operation with her son Leon to clear the hospital's basement, is questioned by WLF commanding officer Handra Hearn at Seattle's Lake Hill Hospital. Leon had instructed her that his mother should close them in when the patrolmen had found out that the cordyceps had gone airborne. Hanrahan praises Elise's choice and claims that because the hospital is so crucial, only a few people will be aware of the fungus's airborne nature. Ellie and Dana starts their second day in Seattle by choosing to stop by a warehouse that the WLF avoids after verifying that Nora is in Lake Hill. They come upon more dead Seraphites along the route, which makes Ellie wonder why she brought Dana. Dana reaffirms her determination to support Ellie's retaliation. A group of clever infected known as stalkers assault Ellie and Dana in the warehouse. Ellie offers to give her life as Dina flees, but Jesse, who had followed them to Seattle with Tommy, just manages to save them. Jesse drags Dina to safety when Ellie makes a distraction after the Seraphites shoot her in the leg with an arrow. Ellie begins her trek by herself after learning that the hospital is close by. Ellie questions Nora about where Abby is at Lake Hill while holding her at gunpoint. Nora taunts her about Joel's death after apologizing for its savagery. Retaliating, Nora flees to the cellar. Ellie tracks her down and finds afflicted WLF troops such as Leon, whose corpses releases spores of cordyceps which infects Nora but not Ellie. Nora discovers that Joel killed the fireflies, including Abby's father, in an attempt to find a treatment for the fungi since Ellie was the immune daughter. After shocking Nora by admitting that she was aware of Joel's behavior, Ellie picks up a pipe and starts torturing and severely beating her for Abby's location.
I'm gonna get the belt.
You tried to rip me off when we got into a fight.
And then we went home. I mean, maybe I go too far. I was a cop.
The Last of Us Season 2, Episode 6 opens with Joel and Tommy in a previous life. Tommy is a police officer with a short fuse. His own father, who once shattered his jaw, passed this trait on to him. We jump back in time to a few moments after Joel moves to Jackson. Ellie ends up with a large burn on her arm when she gets home. Since Ellie wanted to wear short sleeves once more and was obviously trying to hide the scars from her immunity, it turns out that she did this herself. In a flashback, Joel greets Ellie with joy as she awakens in Jacksonville, Wyoming. A fresh cake is also made for Ellie's birthday. However, the cake tastes wonderful and Joel's admission that he can understand why she did what she did breaks the humor. After a year, Ellie, who is now 16, goes on a trip with Joel and discovers a museum. Joel also has the original video from the space launch on a tape that he has for her. In any case, a year later, things have changed. When Joel gets home, he discovers a 19-year-old female harassing Ellie by kissing her using marijuana and even getting a tattoo on her arm. Although Joel says they will talk about it when she is herself, this is actually the start of the termination for their connection with each other. As Ellie attempts to walk out into the shed, Joel reminds her that this is his residence and that they should have an appropriate discussion. After a while, Joel gives in and lets her live in the shed and have her own room. After 2 years, Ellie is now officially in the shed. Now believing Joel's account of incidents, Ellie wants to learn more about what transpired in the Salt Lake City with the fireflies. Eventually, 9 months later, the dancing night arrives. Although we witness Ellie scolding Joel, we don't witness Ellie later being on the couch to engage in conversation. They talk about Dina's relationship with Ellie. Ellie wants the truth because she believes Joel lied about Salt Lake City and the fireflies. Joel ultimately gets up and acknowledges that he loves her and wants to keep her safe, therefore, he doesn't regret his decision. The Last of Us Season 2 finale begins with Jesse, young Mazzino, caring for Dina, Isabella Marcid, after she was wounded by a Seraphite arrow. The movie theater's door is knocked on by Ellie Bella Ramsey. She flees to locate Dina. When Jesse wonders where she is, she asks to inspect Dina's wound after waking her. Ellie informs Dina about Joel's action and what transpired in Salt Lake City. Before they spot a pack of wolves pursuing a Seraphite, they glimpse a fresco of another prophet on a wall. He is stripped and taken away by the wolves. When Ellie tries to step in, Jesse stops her. Sergeant Pack informs Isaac Jeffrey Wright at the wolves' camp that preparations are underway and that the storm is in a convergence zone. Tommy isn't there when Jesse and Ellie arrive at the bookshop where they are meant to meet him. Jesse remarks that he should have considered that as Ellie reaches for a Sesame Street children's book. On the radio, they hear several wolves requesting assistance in order to code with a sniper. Jesse wants to go aid Tommy while Ellie wants to go kill Abby. Ellie claims he would have accompanied her on this journey if 3 more individuals had cast yes votes. Before Ellie can murder 3 wolves to take a boat, she discovers on a pier a fleet of other boats carrying more wolves, including Isaac, arrive. After loading a number of provisions onto the boats, they set out toward a distant island. Ellie takes the boat they left behind after they go, but it capsizes before she can reach the aquarium. When she awakens on land, she spots a young Seraphite who flees. She is seized by some elder Seraphites and led to a noose. They begin hanging her when a leader with a seeker and a small child decide to put her to death, but they leave her as a horn in the village sounds, allowing her to get away. She witnesses detonations on the island behind her as she rides a boat to the aquarium. She discovers Owen, Spencer Lord, and Mel Ariel Barra in the aquarium. Mel wants Ellie to perform an emergency cesarean section after disclosing her pregnancy. Because she is bleeding out, her attempts to instruct Ellie on how to do it are illogical. Mel passes away before she can take any action. She is discovered by Tommy, Gabriel Luna, and Jesse, who take her back to the theater. They flee as they hear commotion in the foyer. Jesse is shot. Ellie is told to get up by Abby Kathleen Deva, who threatens to shoot Tommy as well if she doesn't. Ellie killed her pals, according to Abby. Ellie acknowledges that she is the reason Joel killed her father. I allowed you to leave, says Abby. Before aiming the pistol at Ellie, she reiterates, I let you leave, and you wasted it. She shoots, but before we can see what occurs, the screen goes blank. Abby awakens on a sofa. She enters the Wolves complex when Owen informs her that Isaac is waiting for her.